Did you
Hey.
contact him?
I'll hit that thing. 3 o'clock, I'll call the meeting of Delaware County Regional Wastewater for December 7th, 2022 to order. Penny, if you'll call the roll, please.
Ray?
Here.
Pete?
Present.
Mike?
It is December, present.
Joe? Here. Bill?
Present.
Brenda?
Present.
Ron?
Here.
Boy, there's some humbugs in here. I'll
There you
tell
go. First order of business, minutes of the previous meeting, November 2nd, 2022. If you've all had a chance to review, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
I'll second.
First and second, any changes or discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Minutes approved. Pete, treasurer's report.
Claims, October 31 through November 30, 2022, total $209,083.99. That leaves us some account balances. In the improvement fund, there's $2,117,165.67. We have received the Daleville TIF transfer of $9,411. And in the cash operating
I
balance,
was gonna say, don't let us.
Oh, he wasn't going to leave it out. He just saved it for last.
Say, don't let us-
$420,000. I would move for approval of the acceptance of the Daleville TIF monies and to pay the claims in previous stated amount.
First and second, any discussion or changes? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carried. Old business, salary ordinance 2023.
Was there any this was introduced last board meeting in the month of November. I think we just needed to get it passed if everybody was still good. I didn't get any questions or comments back after.
So we had the introduction in the November meeting. We need the adoption in the December meeting, correct?
The budget was. Budget was approved.
Budget.
The salary ordinance, yeah, was
Was the
introduced.
first reading.
Yep.
Is there any,
I'll make a motion that we pass ordinance number, what is it here?
salary ordinance
It's going to
2023?
be 2023-01.
2023-01,
I'm flipping two that I had.
95.
Did you give your? I have a first and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Salary ordinance carried. New business.
I was gonna say, is there any questions on that? We all need to sign that, it looks like.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, and Penny's got
got the
the,
original down here.
Hard
She'll
copy.
pass it around. Okay, Jason, do you have the new business or is it the hook-in ordinance? Is that Danielle?
I'm going to talk about that one. So I had to leave early. Penny and I were just trying to chat. Was that one actually introduced last month?
No.
Okay, so then I won't have to do what I thought I was gonna have to do. We'll introduce this when we come in, and I will send a clean copy. The only thing, as I've looked at it, I am going to actually spell out those statutes so that if a customer says, hey, I want to see a copy of that ordinance, they can actually read it. So it'll be this, but spelled out, so it'll be a little bit longer. But we're just introducing it this month in, so the introduction can just be the standard introduction, and then I'll get a clean copy out here in a week or so.
Okay, help me out here. With salary ordinance, you had us date 2023-01.
So
This
this
says
will be
2023-02.
Yeah.
Move to introduce.
A second?
I have a first and a second to introduce. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Oppose? Motion
Oh.
carried.
Don't look at me like that.
Why?
You looked at me like you were.
I was just looking both ends. I wasn't seeing making sure if I missed anybody. Danielle, Strubel's contract.
So very important. Do you want me to talk about it?
Did we, I thought,
I thought we'd
This
already
was-
talked about
Yeah,
it.
this
Yeah.
was,
It was in the salary
it's in
ordinance.
the salary ordinance, so that, didn't we just take,
reflects in the budget as well, and it went out in the, I think in the October meeting. and-
Yeah,
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
it
was
did.
a
We just need to
percent.
sign it.
Yes,
It was approved.
it was approved already, I mean.
Oh, did you sign? But I don't think you guys signed it.
No, we didn't.
Okay,
have
so
it
all I need to
signed.
do is just sign it then.
So
Okay,
there's the
okay.
hard copy of that.
Need no motion,
That's
right?
Nope,
important.
you're good, we're
We've
good.
already accepted it, correct?
Yeah, we are accepted.
We
Moving on,
questioned it.
Westbrook distribution request. Jason?
Okay, in the Westbrook distribution, this month we have Atlas's Westbrook pay app for $30,059. We have a release of retainage for $23,639. That will all be for Atlas. Rob will be talking about a change order that we need to address too. Commonwealth has a pay app request of $436, and Klein Peter Consulting.
Yeah, we signed it.
Are we good? Klein Peter Consulting's got a pay app request for $5,000. Me and Rob have reviewed all these. They went out in the board packet as well. I'd recommend a motion to accept and pass. Then,
You stated 30,000, but on here it's 3,000 for Atlas.
oh, I'm sorry.
Pay app,
You're correct. $3,059. Yes.
They're wanting a bonus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Total lien,
And that, the 35,354 includes the.
that would include the change.
order.
Yeah, change
Should
order.
we just talk to Mr. Belushi
Yes.
before we approve all these? What's the change order?
When we, by prior change order, we're doing some extra upgrades.
I got a pen.
Oh, you got one? Oh, okay. I
Um,
was gonna say, I didn't think you had one.
One of the components to that prior change order enclosure that over top of the stairs that went making it newer. Once we got out there, we got everything taped off, measured out. So the guts of this change order, basically, the guts of this change order has to do with increasing the.
We extended it 2 foot longer, the shed building on top there, just for the employees would have a pad during cold weather events that we could have a stepping spot before we step right onto the room stairs.
The pay increases weren't good enough for our employees. They want us to actually take care of them too.
We don't want any back injuries or fall issues.
You've probably been down in there, but it's.
It was a tight fit when he went down.
Yeah.
It's a steep.
I actually made phone calls on his behalf, right?
So is the change order for you, or this is a change order?
Have you ever seen that, Joe?
To Atlas?
Over there where they're
Okay.
talking about?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
tight.
You
This
paid
big
them,
boy
and
didn't
we're
wanna go.
reimbursing you for that. On here, it says a Commonwealth change order, so my question is it a change order for you and engineering, or are we paying Atlas?
It's for Atlas.
Yeah, that's the-
Probably just because I introduced it.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
It's not to us, it's not for us.
Yeah. So it's Atlas's change order Commonwealth's presenting.
Okay, got it.
What's the,
Coming out of our existing budget.
what part of the contract was the consulting group, Westbrook, pay out the 5,000?
That's for wage standards.
Davis Bacon going to, you don't want, yeah. Mike's got that system down pat. We don't want to mess with that.
That's not required.
Any way,
You've
shape,
done
or
it enough times,
on a
no.
weekly basis, no. I've had my run in with that. I'm done. Don't need to do
We
it.
gotta do certified payrolls and.
I know those, yes.
Interview the employees and all that.
Mm-hmm.
kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Make sure you're paying them correctly.
So that Klein Peter invoice is his final invoice for the.
Okay.
I would move to approve all pay apps for the total amount of $35,354.
I'll second.
First and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carried.
Just one quick thing to close the project. After that change order, that
All right.
This month for the collections update, we're setting at $1,184.26 delinquent over the entire service area. Last month we were at $3,687.36, so it looks a lot better than it's probably going to be once we send out those notes. Collections letters will probably be going out here in the next couple of days, so that number's will probably be a little bit worse, and generally is with the holidays, but that ordinance is still taking care of it. Some updates out in the field, we had the new piping that was installed at the 500 Westbrook lift station and valve pit redone with all new valves and shut-offs inside the valve pit there. And that was part of one of the previous approved change orders as well. One of the things we still got left to do, and Rob's gonna button it up with Atlas, is we're still gonna have Structure Solutions come in and rehab the concrete inside that 500 lift station. So I know Rob has said this before, but once we get done with that 500 lift station along with 600, we'll have it'll pretty much be a new wet well, a new dry valve pit, all new control panels. Pumps in that lift station have been upgraded within the last few years now. One of them is brand new with this project. One of them is less than 3 years old. So we pretty much have a brand new lift station over there at 500, and that was really one that gave us a lot of issues prior to this project. We had an old outdated panel in there that we're continuously running, couldn't wrap our head around, and constantly having electricians out there to put a Band-Aid on a bleeder. So it's so much nicer now. Yeah, it flows with 600. We've seen a substantial drop, especially during wet weather events. Still no overflow situations, and we have had a couple of those 3/4 inch rains, events that in the past have gave us problems, and we're containing those, and even to the point where I know there's a reduction in I just because we're not getting word from Yorktown that we're sending too much flow, because that was always been an issue that we would continuously run, and along with them having substantial flow numbers, and we're not getting that. So we're able to keep up on it, maintain a kosher level inside those in that wet weather storage, and no overflow issues. So it's really relieving some of the huge problems, and hopefully it continues to do that. I think that is all I have.
Could I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know what the status at 508 Annie Drive is?
When was that? Is that is that when you had reached out to Davey about?
Yeah, I went to show the house, and that had just been put on the front door, so that lady's husband's passed away, and she's still in a mess with her mind over in the
Utilities have been called in. We haven't been paid on it yet. And I know David said he'd reach out to the realtor that was had the house.
I already talked to him.
Yeah, that one, the only thing that's been done is utilities have been called in. We still haven't received any type of payment or anything on
Okay.
it. Yep.
I just wondered, because if the offer I wrote on this other house doesn't go through, that's one they're interested in, and so it's,
Yeah.
he feels bad about it, but I don't know if if the realtor's gonna pay it or not.
Yeah.
So, it's a really nice place.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was probably the first time it's ever been on our list, you know?
I haven't ever seen it on there.
Yeah.
Okay. She's moved. She's not living there, though.
Yeah.
She's not in there.
This may be a question that's more for Rob. Have we completed the flow monitoring that we were doing?
Tanglewood?
No, in
Post-construction.
post-construction. And is that, I mean, I know you can say, because we're not talking to the plant, but I mean, have we been able to accurately measure and have some, and I know it was dry, so I assume
It was
that's.
dry. We didn't have the best operation. What I can do is before, just like one-page summary that just briefly touches on
I think we said this before, that the west side of it on 600, it's just gonna be, it was gonna be so tough to measure anyway. But definitely that north side, we should be able to get a number on.
Yeah, and I think that's the area that we're looking at, obviously, because.
Yeah, that's where
because
most of the inlining went. for
Right.
sure,
Yeah,
but-
I keep
Right.
in mind all that, but they just pay
a tremendous amount as well, yeah.
But we're,
Okay.
with that, when we originally couldn't maintain the level and safely, watch our pumps, when those,
Yeah.
when that, meter went in there at 600, it had been shutting it off and on too much. So, and the way that 21-inch pipe was always full, you could not get a good reading on it, so, but just from observation, it's.
Thank you.
Yep.
That it?
Yeah.
And you?
Last time you guys asked me to look into when we want to suspend the rules for an ordinance to be adopted immediately. It has to be a unanimous consent of those present, but a 2/3 vote of all on the board. So essentially for you guys, 5 members would have to be present and all vote to suspend the rules
Right.
if we wanted to do that in the future. I handed out to everyone the current back and forth on the MSD contract. They just sent that. I forwarded it to Rob, who is making some comments on it, and I sent it to Jennifer today. Once we have some input there, we will formulate a response back to them. You'll see in the details, that there were a few things I was pretty optimistic about, and then some will depend on how Jennifer and Rob evaluate their side of the contract. But that way everybody can kind of see where we're at. I think MSD's in blue, so if you're looking at it, I think their comment should be in the blue. I got a letter from TK, the property we talked about where one structure would be hooked in, one would not. He sent me a letter. They sent out a certified letter and are evicting the people from the structure that would have to be hooked in and getting rid of it. So they will be exempt for and I'm sure that's from what it sounds to me, they're wanting to do more of their business or storing or something, warehousing over there. So I'm assuming that's why. But so that issue is essentially resolved. I got served notice on a property where we have a judgment against the person. I sent back a response saying, we don't service this area. This is MSD's area. I reached out to Jason and Penny and I said, please do a search and try to figure out, did we have something with this gentleman? What's going on? We did not. We have no information regarding this person or this property. However, I got a letter back from the attorney on the other side saying that in 2014, Mark Abril appeared on behalf of the district, filed suit against a David Miller for a property on 26th Street in Muncie and got a judgment against him on the district's behalf. That's the extent of my knowledge as to why we're being served this notice. I will immediately file a release of judgment. Unfortunately, I can't give you any more information than what I've just told you, but I don't know why this happened or what the situation was. There's nothing against the person. Their name's not even in your system. So all I can say is I'll get it released immediately because I think this person's wanting to sell a house and he's not able to because we have a judgment and I didn't have any knowledge of it. This wasn't in any of the files I got either.
Did you guys pay Mark to do this? I didn't.
No, I was just wondering if, when he used to do, that would have been a long time ago when I was on the board or whatever. It was at that time. He used to do detailed billing about what he did something that was an exception. Do we have anything during that time period when we were paying him that he reflected that he did this?
No, I don't,
Have to go all the way back to.
I'll have to even look in the files and see if we have anything recording detailed
And I don't, the amount's not on this letter. My memory of the first letter I got is that this is pretty insignificant. It's not a huge thing, so I don't know how much time is worth really digging through the old files. My opinion would be we have no account record of this anyway, so this isn't a judgment we will be getting paid on. I will return the money if they send us money because we can't justify that we ever had.
We didn't even have a record. You never was a customer there.
Right, so I'll get this released this week. I just wanted to give you guys, in case somebody like this person calls the office wanting to know why we have a judgment against him for a house on 26th Street in Muncie. Now you know.
Okay.
Okay? I told you I will update the ordinance, get that sent back out to you guys, to include the full language. And I think that covered my list.
That's it.
Yep.
Board members have anything for the attorney? Spotted monkey. Ashley, your turn, dear.
If you guys have any questions on the report, I'm happy to answer any questions. Last month, Jason and I had a meeting and we went over several projects that are going on. So we have several articles that are written up about these projects, and we'll be dispersing those throughout this month. The one for Daleville has already been out on social media and it's on the website. This kind of goes into December, but we have put out the information on the public hearing as well. So you should already see that on social media and should see that on the website. Your Google and Facebook is doing well. We are keeping that up to date, you know, when you guys are closed, to remind people that you are closed, but you can still pay online. We have added some new videos to YouTube, and you can see the stats there. We sent out the monthly email, so we've been sending out a monthly kind of email with the November board meeting information, as well as other information that's coming up and reminding people of their due dates, depending on where they live. One issue that we are running into is with the new website. So Jason and Penny and have called to try and get access to the domain. I have contacted several times. We received the information, however, it's two-factor authentication. So we cannot access that. We have attempted several times to call and email, and we are not getting through. So Jason, we emailed each other today, and we kind of thought we might need to get Danielle involved in this.
I will be sending an email to these people this week. Do you have a particular day? Because I'm not going to give them the option. I'm going to set a time that this will take place. So do you have a particular date or time?
I mean, I can do any time on like this Friday, which what I would hope give them enough time if they respond. If not, we can set up a time for next week.
All right, I'll take care of that.
So that's really been a huge hindrance, because there's things that we want to make sure are on the new site, that your current website doesn't
I see that piece of paper.
look right without having all of, like, we can't add a lot of news information on your new site with the way, or your old site with the way the layout is. So we really want this new site up so that we can start putting these articles out a little in a cleaner fashion on the new site. So that spent a lot of time in November just trying to get their contact information.
That was sent out, but how many people here have actually looked at that?
But what?
The website?
Yeah.
I did. I sent back several comments on the
Yes, you did. I mean,
website.
we did. There's comments flying back and forth.
Has
I have.
everybody seen it?
Yep, I have.
I've seen your Facebook post and everything like those. Mhm.
I saw it. But
Jay,
Sorry,
on that domain
Ashley,
thing,
No, you're good.
Bill just asked me, you
Yeah.
guys can change your domain provider at any time.
If we're
Do you have a
if we're having
contract?
issues getting into a domain and taking care of things out of a company out of Ohio, why don't we look into something close by here where we have more local control? And I mean, do we need to be
Well-
through this? I'm asking you guys that have it set up. And there may be a reason why it's through this one in Ohio. I don't know. I'm just asking.
That was done before I was in here. I think Penny had reached out to, you want to elaborate? I'm not sure.
Because that was who was recommended at the time, like through F&E Check Pros, and just had a certain group of people that recommended, so we priced and went with who we thought was best at the time.
And once we have access to the domain, we can transfer it into another account. It's just getting that access.
Can we take a look at that? I mean, see if you can get to where we.
Yeah, that's what we've been trying to do. We just can't get her to answer us back.
So, but I mean, once you do, then you're going to switch to where the domain's taken care of and access to. Okay, that's what I
Yeah,
want to make
so-
sure. I mean, there ain't no use battling against the same thing. I mean, when I went over and seen Ohio, I was like, okay, why are we arguing with this? When we do get it, let's just move it over here where we can get it done.
Yeah, so once we get it,
Own our own domain name? I mean, do we own it, or who owns that, the name?
well, I mean, hopefully you guys are set as the owner of the domain name. Some companies, I mean, she gave me the username and password, so I was able to get to see where that would work. It just then sends a code to like her cell phone or somebody's cell phone and their email, which won't allow me to access it. But once I'm able to get into that account, I can unlock the domain and then transfer it into an account set up through another domain registrar that we can all have access to, so that we don't run into this issue again.
Right, I mean, I would think we'd want to own our own name instead of somebody else owning it, and
Right,
then we give them, like you, the permission to use our name.
exactly. Yeah, that would be the best way to do it.
I agree. Okay, sorry. Continue.
Oh, no, you're good. So we've been updating the current website and then updating the new website with the board meetings and things. We just don't have that published yet. So right now we're kind of keeping both updated until we can get access to the domain to get it published. Once we have that access, then we can get it published. So my hope would be that it'll be published this month. So, are there any questions or anything?
I think Jason looks better so that his video gets watched more on who we are.
I think he needs a cowboy hat.
Yeah, is that what it is?
Yeah, I think-
He needs a cowboy
I think
hat.
for December, we could put him in like an elf, elf outfit. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
The public hearing.
Or we could do some photoshopping.
Are we to attend this new hearing that's coming up in Delaware?
Yeah, we'll be there. I mean,
We'll be there. I mean, are we to be there?
you don't have, I don't think we have to be there, do we? Is it
Okay.
in the
so
public,
this-
on the
Well,
Delville?
hang on, because I was going to bring that up because I heard you ask the question. Are we done with Ashley, though?
Do you have any questions? Anything else?
Anybody have any questions for Ashley and Spotted Monkey? Okay. Thank you, Ashley. Yes, Mike's moved on. Ask another question. Yes.
No, I saw him say, do we, wait, did you point at me? Or past me?
Yeah, go to you. No, to you.
I
Yeah.
know that you-
Okay.
Answer Mike's
I
question.
heard him say, are we supposed to be at that? So someone will have to explain the Delville thing. It won't be me. But I did get an email asking about notice for it. So I inquired, is this an actual public hearing that we're doing? So my understanding, though, is this is just a meeting, kind of like a community meeting like
It
we
is.
did.
That's what I said, there's,
So then there's
we're
no
paying, we're
public
paying for it, and
notice.
they've come to us and asked, and this is something that was approved through the commissioners and with the ARPA, and then this board as to proceed further on it. I don't think there's no opening to hearing
And
that
the
I was
only
aware
thing
of.
I care about is as long as there's less than 3 of you there.
Yeah.
Or 3 or less,
Yeah.
I can promise you I won't be there.
I figured.
Last time it was me, Jason, Rob,
I think that was it.
I think that was it was us 3 that addressed, and all that was there was the 11 members of the community that was affected. That was it. There was no other town members. The town board president was there, and another member.
If somebody else would like to come, as long as we can have.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
You're the most
inform.
knowledgeable about it,
I'm
so.
feeling busy that night.
It's,
the
I have to
outreach
start my
and
sock
love.
drawer.
we're having it just in case anybody does, we're having it the 14th at 6 o'clock within Delville's town hall meeting. Letters have been sent out to all the residents. That's going to be, that's going to benefit
I
for this
look-
project.
I look forward to be a good, easy meeting and just more about timing and what they're going to be responsible. I mean, because we had everything, what we would do, what we were looking for as far as funding. They would be responsible for the electric, I mean, the pump. We would do it all in construction, but we had laid it all out pretty well if we could get everything funded from the ARP funds. So,
When Rob was originally out there, Rob's survey guys, we ran into one resident that does not want to hook in, and her conversation with Danielle, that they will be exempt if they didn't want to hook in. We had designed it to run it back to them, but they're within the limits that
They wouldn't have to.
they don't have to. But with that said, we spoke about this earlier today, that if they did want to at a later time, it'd be on their dollar.
And we can send them I mean, if you just communicate that to them, or we can send them a letter if we need to.
Yeah,
I think when we go down through there, we need to make record of it and have that, what it is, and have it signed, and them sign off that they didn't want to be at the
I
time of
They sell.
of construction, so that it falls back. I mean, because we're going through one time, we're not coming through twice. We can only, while we're on site.
Other than that, I think we've been a good response, and then the first meeting we had was, I think everybody was pretty much on board for it. The 11 that did show up out of the 12 parcels that are there that could get access, we had 11 of
That was
them. Everybody was in favor for it, and luckily enough, it's the kind of way we presented it with the commissioner's help. It's turning out to be a better project than
The first plan.
yeah.
It did. Okay. Does that answer your question, Mike?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Commonwealth, sorry. Couldn't get it out.
I think our report was in the packet that Jason sent out. It pretty much, we've already touched on everything, including I was going to bring up the meeting in Daleville, but Danielle beat
sorry.
me to it. No, you're good.
You're welcome.
Thanks. The only thing I noticed that wasn't on here, the sewer extension from Gaston to Westdale, that planning report is under assembly, and we're full steam ahead on it. We'll easily have a draft to you guys after the first of the year, so we can meet that March 31st funding application deadline. Same with the Oakville report. Beyond that, we're also looking at running water to the school too, but that doesn't really impact this board. So,
We got all the funding secured down, and who's responsible
yep.
to the board?
Yeah, the school's covering the water piece of it, and then you guys are gonna be taking over the sewer infrastructure once it gets
Water
built.
south from
Gaston.
Gaston?
Yeah, they're gonna hook everything into Gaston. That'll put everything right to that corner, which then we can address from 600 to 28.
Yeah,
at a later date.
from your perspective, for growth potential, we'll, in the sewer report, for the Westdale School, we'll identify in that report a phase 2 that extends it out to the interstate. SRF has indicated at this time they don't really have much of an interest in participating in phase 2. That doesn't mean that they won't change their mind in the future, and it doesn't preclude you from looking at like a USDA maybe to fund phase 2. But it'll all be in that same report, so we don't have to go back and do this all over again. That's all I got, Bill.
Okay. Anything on Roriton?
I actually just got the certification from MSD that we needed, that one form.
Oh, good.
We got it today, literally before this meeting. So my office is getting everything sent back to IDM. We had a hiccup with the MSD capacity certification form. That being said, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't go ahead and move toward advertising, because everything else is ready to go.
So we're ready to bid.
If we bid it, it'll be a 30-day bid process, and the bids will be good for another 90 days after that, so.
So we made it through the comment period on
This isn't the treatment plant.
the,
This is the relief
Okay,
sewer.
there you go. See, you wandered off pace again. We're at Westbrook.
Well,
Or
No.
Roriton.
We're at the, we're at,
I know, you got me too.
When you're
Well,
telling
it's-
me it's one thing.
It's a
and
reflection.
not,
It
then
kind of
it's-
blocked my brain there.
we're at
from
the
light
relief,
above
we
you.
want to
Bring
get that
up
relief
IDM here in a
sewer out by
second.
the elementary
So get
school out to
ready.
bid.
This is the one that was causing the flooding that we're.
Yes.
dealing
Well, yeah,
with. Or
surcharging.
surcharging.
Yes.
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 Got it. My
So we had to get a
Hold
form
forever.
signed by MSD, and there was a little bit of angst on our end as to whether or not they would cooperate. We got it signed today.
Okay.
That's already been shipped off to IDM. As soon as I got it, I flipped it back to my office. So there's nothing really keeping us from moving forward with advertising. We're talking about 1,000 foot of pipe and a couple manholes, so I don't expect a whole lot of comment, if any, from IDM when they're reviewing it. So if you consider a 30-day bidding period and our bids are good for 90 days after that, we'll have our IDM permit within the next 120 days, so there's no reason not to just, let's go ahead and get this thing out on the street.
And we could be constructing while school's out next summer.
Yes,
and
we'll
in a
be,
good
we'll be
position.
positioned perfectly for when school is
I
out.
agree.
To 120 days.
So if the board is amenable, we'll coordinate with Jason and get the advertisement put together and get it to the newspaper.
I got-
I don't think you need a motion from us, but does the board have any questions or anything
yeah,
as
I've
far
got-
as that?
I've got a question.
All right, Mike?
Have we heard anything from IDEM on the plant?
Shifting gears here,
And and let me finish my question.
I'll let Rob answer.
We just heard it's 90 to 120 days we can get this thing approved through IDEM that he wants to get done here. How many months do we have to wait on an answer on the nice form that you sent in to them?
Well, I don't think we're comparing apples to apples. I'm not defending IDEM. We're looking at building a plant versus a permit on an existing line right now with overflows and problems. So
Okay.
I just don't, I mean, I think there's a difference there, but I'm going to let Rob answer that question. Because that's what I was told, difference of we're an anti-dig and that building is one deal versus the permitting and this other stuff on the other side here of
Okay,
existing.
all right.
That's part of it. There's actually some additional dynamics that have been brought to our attention that impact our cost analysis. So on the anti-DAG study that was assembled, it has two real components to it. It has an environmental component, and then it has a burden of cost on your customers component. Our hands were kind of tied on how to calculate, or how Crow would calculate the burden of cost, because it's federal law that says thou shalt use this procedure, okay? The current administration, the current White House administration has some pending changes to how all that's done, and it would benefit us, but it's not official yet. The second part of that is, those of you that are on this board that have been involved in this since the planning period, and we had dialogue with Liberty and everybody else, everybody knows that just from an operating cost standpoint, building a plant would save the district money over and above what they're currently paying for treatment. The problem is the thresholds that the policies that we had to use for the anti-DEG aren't as black and white, and they take some other things into consideration. And then to compound that, our costs are based on 2022 numbers, and we had to show our burden comparison based on MSD's 2011 long-term control plan costs. Now, I believe that our financial consultant took those numbers and put some sort of inflation factor on them. We're going to confirm that, but the reality is a dollar bought a lot more in 2011 than it does in 2022. I think we can all agree to that. So when we show our burden numbers, we believe that they're somewhat skewed because it's not a real apples to apples comparison, right? Their plan, their being Muncie's plan in 2011 was spent $160 million. They've haven't really got into the guts of that yet. They're still, their plan was really back end loaded. We got wind that they are in the process of updating their long-term control plan, and we're getting our special records request put in like they did to us, so we can get our hands on it, so we can make sure that our numbers are consistent with what they're proposing. The old plan identified 100% sewer separation, and we have every reason to believe that that's not the direction they're ultimately going to go, because it just doesn't make sense to go that way. So there's some moving parts here. The dialogue that we're having with IDEM right now is get us a copy of that long-term control plan once it gets submitted, and let's review both of these things concurrently because they're kind of intertwined. So that's where we're at with it right now.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Rob?
Knowing that, what kind of time frame are we talking about?
I don't know that I can answer that, Pete. What my understanding is that long-term control plan update has either been submitted or is going to be submitted in fairly short order. IDEM's completed their completeness review of our anti-DEG study. We've just held off pushing them to issue a formal response because we know that that other document is coming along. We can certainly force the issue, but I don't think that our burden is high enough that they're going to show favorably on us. That's why
Sure
we
we were on
want
the
to
same
wait.
page.
And I have a note, based on a conversation with Rob today. I will follow up with Amy Romig on that. She was the one dealing with that
Make
side
sure
of
that
it.
if there's any notices, we get it.
Thank you.
Any other questions or concerns for Rob? Thanks, Rob. Seeing none, we've come to the end of it. Does the board have any other business that needs to be in front of us this evening? Seeing no public, I will say this is our last meeting of the year. Thank you. We've come to the end of another one. To each of you, a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. It'll be the next year before we're all back together again.
Well,
So-
this is my last meeting, evidently. I don't know for sure, but evidently, so I want to thank everybody for your patience and educating me.
Oh, wait, I want to say something on that note. Until somebody is appointed to replace you, you still stay.
We found that
Unless
out, we
you
found
don't
that out
want
last
to.
year,
That
right,
came up
right
last
here.
year with
She should
Brenda.
have been in the first meeting that she didn't attend to because until an appointment's there, that person retains that seat. So we found that out this year.
But she just said if you don't want to.
Well, I didn't know if he was
He
saying that
wants to.
because of that. Oh, yeah, no,
Am I?
No,
I'm
that's-
also up, so.
yes, no, for both of
You
you.
want to.
No, it's
Yes,
not
you
for both.
do. Yes, you do.
Both want to stay.
All right. Anybody got anything else this evening, this afternoon?
I guess I'll see you next month.
Yes.
Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And a sec- and all in favor, say aye.
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 Might be the last
Thank you all.
for me.